is the Common Man Podcast with your host, David Redman.
Brian Cheek, thank you so much for joining us today on the Common Man Podcast.
Thanks, bud. Good to be here.
You touch a lot of relationships in the community, and I'm gonna take this time just to embarrass you a little bit, but you were an active teaching pastor for how long?
8 years.
8 years active teaching pastor. Very difficult job. Thank you for wearing the mantle for so long and doing that at a local church, and you still attend there.
Yes, it's always been bivocation. I was bivocation at that time. So
and what's the name of that church?
The Point Church.
The Point Church. They're here in Anderson. Great church over on Main Street. You were a and still maybe dabble, I don't know, but you were a triathlete.
Yes.
And how many did you do? A single? How many Ironmen?
I've done a few Ironman. Yeah.
How many?
3.
Every Ironmaner actually, they don't say, yeah, you know, they know.
I
that's
do know.
Big
I
old pain
remember.
train.
They hurt. They hurt. Yeah.
Did you get the tattoo?
No, dude. I'm not that guy.
Didn't get the tattoo?
No tattoo.
Could be that you're bivocational, maybe not.
No, it has nothing to do with. There's no spiritual aspect there. I just don't want to brand myself with a logo, so I'm good.
Maybe there's other CrossFit tattoos
we
coming.
can get dig into that a little bit.
But you were also you owned your own tri shop.
Yes.
The Lord taught you amazing things through that.
For sure. No
You're
doubt.
a small business owner in a family-run business.
Yes.
You're also a fella that is active in the investment property space.
Yes.
And you have 2 grown kids. One just got married. Your daughter just got married, and your son is playing football at AU.
Yes, he was. He is looking at moving on, but I think he's working now. So
Okay.
yeah, he was at Carson Newman and AU playing football. Yes.
Okay. And so often from my own experience, I always look at the community and look into the church community for men that impress me.
Mm-hmm.
And you hit a lot of those things. And it really emboldens me, and it encourages me, and it charges me, because I know a brother that believes that God is God and that Jesus is the only way, is also living vibrantly out on the hunt every day and surviving and flourishing. The main thing that you're crushing right now, which is just wonderful, is CrossFit.
Doing a little fitness. Yes.
Doing a little bit of fitness. And you, how long have you been in CrossFit for? 6-ish years?
I've been total, I think 9.
Okay, so 9
I went
years.
from triathlon, and I've got a little bit of a problem. I have to be involved with extreme things.
Praise the Lord.
But no, it helps me maintain my manliness, I guess, just to keep doing that kind of stuff. But I have to have a little competitive desire, so I have to do something like that. So I've been doing it for about 9 years. So.
And so you've been doing that, but not only just attending like me. You've been going to competitions and winning. Wodapalooza is a massive regional tournament, and you didn't qualify with the original invitees, but some people didn't ultimately make it, and so you were kicked into that invitee list.
Yes.
And then so the qualifying invitees was whatever, a dozen or more.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go on to podium at Wodapalooza after being invited into that group.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got a roll down spot and then went down and ended up winning by the grace of God. So. Which
is amazing. And you can Google any of this stuff. Brian's all over the internet.
Don't do that.
And
it's not necessary.
and then at the same time of those things going on, CrossFit is a really fun organization, and then they do a few regional tournaments that are unaffiliated with CrossFit branding, but then there is a yearly CrossFit competition.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And that's obviously you have to condition and train your fanny off all year long with multiples a day.
Mm-hmm.
And and you got to eat crazy and sleep crazy. You know what I'm saying?
There's a lot to it. Yes. You make me want to stop doing it. What you're saying,
dude? Yeah, you can't turn this off.
Okay,
it's of the Lord. It's
okay,
of the Lord.
Okay,
it's just
right.
a part of your military
okay.
expression, maybe. And so like this thing is coming up. When is the CrossFit Games?
August, middle of August. Yes.
Okay, so no pressure or anything,
No,
but
no pressure at all.
there were some initial workouts that where everyone in the world does these workouts, and there's 3 workouts, and
Yeah, 5. Yes.
well, you got to do the first 3 in order to be invited to do the last 2.
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
and
so
so
you-
he
yeah,
got it. He got invited to do the last. He did the first 3 with the entire globe in
Right.
in the male age group, and then you got invited to do the last 2, and you qualified for the CrossFit Games. Out of how many men in your age group in the world?
David, I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know. That's not why I do it. I just do it.
It's really
I do
cool,
it for fun.
though.
It's
It's
cool.
really
It's fun. It's something that I do, but I appreciate it. But yes, it's been fun. But listen, here's the deal. It's all about environment.
Okay.
I owe it to just coaches and to people around me supporting me, from family to gym. I mean, there's no way that you could do that kind of thing without that kind of support.
So nod to our CrossFit gym. It's run by Nick Meeks and a couple of one of the coaches,
Colin Leonard,
and
yes,
Colin
head coach,
Leonard.
yes.
And it's here in Anderson, South Carolina. You can look it up. What's our name right now? It's changed a couple
Electric
times.
City Fitness Company.
Electric City
CrossFit
Fitness.
Electric City, yes.
So it's CrossFit one side, then there's like a formal, really high-end gym on the other side. There's 2 different pay plans, but anybody is welcome to reach out. Nick
come check it out.
is a guru when it comes to fitness, food, and all things movement.
No doubt.
I've been a member there for 10-ish years and stuff, and I just consider it as my healthcare plan. The only issue sometimes is that I hurt myself there, so then I have to receive healthcare, but that's a whole nother story. We're not even going to.
It's all good. We've got they're real good coaches there that can keep you from doing all that stuff.
Yeah. So if you like to break up the day with some exertion,
Yes, for sure.
and if you might need to break up the day with some exertion, something to flip the switch
Yes.
in this modern, very, very fast world,
For sure.
give it a try. So all that to say, like, how do you do it, bro? How do you do it? What I would be curious to know, like, how do you have a relationship with the Lord, stay fueled spiritually, so that you can do all this so well and cause men to aspire like me, you know? And
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, I
How do you
appreciate
do
it.
it?
No, Dave, if I'd known you were going to be telling
I
all
know,
this stuff,
right?
I
That's
wouldn't
why
have
I didn't
showed
say
up.
anything.
I wouldn't have showed. This is
You're
not. This
dang
is
right.
anti me. I don't like doing all this stuff. But anyway, to answer your question, I do get that question a lot. You're like, hey, dude, how do you do all the stuff you do? And it's like, I believe that we have plenty of time to do what we want to do, and it's how we choose to do our time. And it's like, we have hours in the day, and if you're not
But wait a minute. I got a 9-to-5er
right,
and like I got kids.
true.
Wait
true.
a minute. Brian, I don't have time.
Now, you're right. Okay, now let's go ahead and say this now.
Quit being unfair to
No,
me. I'm
there's-
not a guy that can just
No.
like come and go.
I hear you,
Okay.
and I agree with you, because there's seasons in my life where I had to back off of things
Okay.
because family mattered more. And there are times where I didn't back off of things, and it hurt. And I learned lessons from
Gotcha.
not.
Yeah.
Okay, God's like, hey, you got to back off of this. You're getting you're too competitive, you're
Yeah.
too much this.
Yeah.
Some things are suffering, and you need to check yourself.
Would you mind sharing something? Sharing an example? Like how did that like show up?
Well, it showed up really, and I do have a little bit of a problem that is good and can be bad. So I have the desire to compete. Okay, and it's not necessarily I've been competitive through my life, but it's not necessarily with other people. It's mainly an internal, like, I believe the Lord's created us just as amazing beings, and I want to know, what's the limit there? Some people think it's somewhere right here, but it may be somewhere else. And so I've always wanted to see, okay, I could be faster, stronger than I am here, and this and that. And so early on, I started running.
And you're I'm sorry, but also you're a black belt in what?
Ishinryu karate.
That he
yes.
wouldn't even tell me
No,
until we
that's
know each
not-
other for like a long
That's-
time.
yeah, we don't need to get into
Dang.
all of that. But you know,
So much fun.
I do get those questions.
I'm
but
just gonna shut up the rest of the time.
no, I'm just saying there are avenues and compartments that you have to put this stuff in to make it positive for you from a health standpoint, from a spiritual standpoint. And when it starts getting towards those boundaries and gets extreme and you can't really see things suffering in your life, you've got something that has to check you, whether it's the Lord or family. And like, hey, this is too much. And triathlon in a whole is a very, very time-consuming sport.
Very.
And if you're going to do Ironman triathlon, you're spending, and you want to be competitive, which if I want to compete, you're going to be training over 20 hours a week.
How do you manage your quiet times then? How did you manage your quiet times then?
Right.
What's your quiet time like? When do you do it?
It's always been first thing for me.
So you're a morning guy on quiet time.
Morning, breakfast, word.
What's your jam? What do you do what do you do in the quiet time?
I am currently I'm going through just a ESV study Bible, and I'm digging deeper into the scripture, and then I'm going into a deep dive into more of a smaller verse dive instead of a quantity, going quality deep.
Yep. Okay.
So that's kind of where I am right now.
I'm
in 2 Corinthians, but
so for those that don't understand, there are Bibles like this one that is like just all the words, and then there's Bibles like this one with words on half, but then descriptions on the bottom. It's called a study Bible.
Right.
So you can crack the word and get familiar with anything in there if you grab a study Bible first.
Right. And it just digs you deeper, but so that's what I'm doing.
That's
from
what
a
you're
quieter.
doing now.
But to answer your question, it during triathloning, the times got extreme. Then I started seeing some things suffering from a family standpoint, and so you know you've got to.
How old were your kids then?
They were. So this was. Golly, I'm old, Redmond. I told him how old I am. I'm old. I'm saying like 5 and 9 ish. Let's say that. Let's say 5, 9 ish.
Yeah.
And just high demand, you know, and so it just like at some point, really, when my third race, it was my body started breaking down, and it was just other factors, and like the Lord was just like, look, man, it's too much. You can't do this. You can't. I'm not calling you to this. You're not supposed to be doing this.
Right.
This is beyond fun. It's become borderline a sin situation, and
which means that the fruit you were getting in your relationships was negative fruit, unhealthy fruit, frustrations and time apart, and God was like saying, "Hey, brother, look at this. We're missing out on the main values in life."
Yes.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. It was like, wake up, dude. You're missing some stuff you don't need to be missing.
Right. And you're getting hurt.
And you're getting. I'm going to have to hurt you for you to quit doing this.
He's never done that to me all the time.
Looking back, that's what I say. But at the time, I was frustrated. But no, I'm going to hurt you.
He stopped you.
And so you know that you're fallible. You're too much.
Yeah.
And luckily through family and that, I was able to say, okay, look, I got to do something else. And I stopped that and began to look at, I needed to heal my body. So I began doing more weightlifting and got into CrossFit, and then that took over. So,
yeah.
But, so that's how.
And CrossFit requires a whole lot less of your time.
It does.
Still requires a lot of commitment.
It does.
Mental, emotional, spiritual, diet, sleep.
It does. But I'm in a different spot now, like in my life. Like I'm devoting more time to this, and there's no way I could make the CrossFit Games without the amount of time that I've had to put into it. But my kids are grown.
Right.
The new, one's married, one's engaged. I mean, they're
Oh, well,
they're
congratulations.
that's how it was. Yeah, that happened this past weekend. It was good. Yeah, surprise. But yeah, so it's awesome. But I'm getting the empty nest thing going a little bit, and I've got some time, so I'm able to invest in it. So all that to be said, look, there's seasons in life that you can do these things, and when people ask you how do you do it all, well, it's sometimes it's less, and sometimes it's more. But
do you ever miss quiet times?
Yes, I do miss quiet times.
And what does it feel like when you miss? What happens?
Sometimes it is. I'll remember during the day.
Oh, okay.
And then I'll be like, oh man. But I don't beat myself up about it. I think people sometimes get legalistic with that and think they're not being a Christian, and it can really weigh on them.
Right.
But it just jump back on the bike, man. You jump back on the bike, and the thing that I love that we've been able to do, and I'll toot your horn for a second, is we've been a part of a men's group forever, and Redmond's been leading it, and it's been great and tremendous for us. And one of the questions that we ask in this group is, hey, what are you doing right now? What's going on in your life? What are you reading? What are you in? And we want to know that. And part, I guess, in the back of my mind and other people's mind is like, hey, I might have to tell Redmond what I'm reading.
Me too.
And I might have to tell Nick and Bradford and Caleb, these guys, what's going on. And
how do guys not prioritize men's gatherings? I don't understand it.
It's very, very necessary.
It's like, is it essential? Is it biblically a biblical directive almost? Jeepers.
Wow.
I kind of see it like that a little bit.
I think it gathering is for sure.
Okay, churching.
Accountability is for sure. I guess my statement would be, if you're getting that at your church, then that could be covering that.
Yeah.
But I would be shocked if the majority of believers and walkers in church are getting that in church.
Right. Me too.
So if that's not happening, then what you said, yes, it has to happen.
Yeah, I mean, iron sharpens iron.
Correct. No doubt about it.
Which is just a scripture. You can Google it and find it in the Bible, but iron sharpens iron, meaning that that people that love the Lord, as they gather together, men specifically gathering with men or women specifically gathering with women, they can call them up and call them out about areas of darkness,
right,
and like inviting us all to areas of light or freedoms or just struggling better,
right,
kind of stuff.
True. Yeah, I mean it's releasing yourself to allow another person to read you and say, hey, buddy, you might need to get back on this or this. And man, it takes some ego on the table. Let some ego down and say, hey, I'm going to let another man look at me and kind of like hold me accountable.
And just share my crap with them.
Right. Yeah.
And figure out how I'm supposed to not be completely upended when I share my stuff.
Right.
But the purpose of sharing it is so a brother can say, hey, yeah, me too.
Right.
Or, okay, this was my way forward.
Right.
You should try this.
Totally. And that's what,
which is all scripture.
Right. No doubt about it. And in our group, there are seasons where different people are struggling with different things. And we've been there and said, hey, I remember when I went through this and you shared this thing you went through in your life, and it kind of would reassure you or them, hey, God's got you. You're going to get out of this.
Yeah. Have you found that in like obligation is always being invited? Work, world, obligations. Work and world things are always calling to us for more, to do more. How do you work through that? Because the reason I ask that is because, with, suicide's at an all-time high.
Mm-hmm.
And the number one suicide is white men.
Mm-hmm.
And it's at an all-time high, and that's in and out of the church. And busyness is one of those things that seems not that big a deal.
Mm-hmm.
But like, how do you work that so that you can grow in the different seasons that you find yourself in? How did that play out in your younger years? Did you feel that from the Spirit? Was it just wisdom, discernment?
In regards to what I was participating in, or from a spiritual standpoint?
Most people don't operate in such a refreshed and active
for true
embodiment,
right?
Which is one of the things I was like dragging all that out to embarrass you in the beginning. And I know it's because you put fences up,
yes,
that are required to keep out
for
things of lesser living,
right?
Like, how do you do all that and stuff?
Yeah, I think some people call it compartmentalization, and I've got buckets, and I guess I'm 50, man, and over the years I can recognize when a bucket's getting full and it's about to overflow, and
what's an example of that for guys in their 30s?
30s?
Sure.
Ooh-wee. That's when I was trying to be everything.
Trying to carry more buckets.
I was trying to do everything. I was trying to be the best business. I was trying to be the best
That's overwhelming.
church, the best church goer, the best church leader, the best this, the best dad, the best everything.
Our
at
number
time.
one listener is 30 to like 38.
Okay. They're in it.
They're in it.
They're in it.
What do you tell them?
I tell them to don't be afraid to punt, to just go back
Practice
a couple of
punting
steps
early.
and punt and say, hey, I'm going to reassess what I'm doing and what's important. And when I do that, I'm going to release the things that really don't matter.
Okay.
That I've made matter.
What would be one example, or like one of those top 3 examples? Non-believers too.
Okay. Okay, let's say family.
Okay.
I mean, at that point,
Don't talk about family. You can probably get people mad.
No. Let's just say no, really, because
go ahead.
You think back and
Yeah.
I wanted.
There's a biblical invitation,
when
right?
You're 30, you just want to do what you want to do.
You still want to do
you
what you want to do.
what you want to do. You don't want to be like sometimes
you're still thinking you're 20.
You think you're 20. You think you can still do it, and you don't want to be hammed down or keep getting. You think that
finally I'm freer.
Right.
I got to celebrate this thing.
But if you've got a family, that time period there for you, man. And I've used to hear people say this. It is so fast.
Yeah. Okay.
If you're in it and you're like, this is taking forever, but you're on my side and you're like, man, that went by like lightning. I got kids married and engaged, and they were 5-year-olds running around the house playing, hitting each other or whatever.
Right.
And
what's an action step for dude?
Action step is if you feel that pressure, anxiety in that age range, then
to do it all,
and
conquer the world.
That's a lie.
Okay.
Don't believe it.
Okay. It's not possible.
It's not possible without sacrificing something that's going to be very, very important.
Okay. So they really have to think about their priorities.
Right.
And what kind of fruit they want in 5 years and 10 years. Meaning, like, what type of, do they want their family to be around and in relationship with them in 5 and 10 years?
Right.
Something like that?
Yeah. What this little one that you're in charge of, the Lord's placed in front of your life, what do you want them to be?
Right.
From a man and a woman standpoint. Man. And do I need to be going out
right
doing this, and this all the time?
Right.
Or do I need to be here?
And use the prayer, Father, I don't really care about maybe the parenting role as much as I probably should.
Maybe. That
right?
could be it.
And like bring my heart to that.
Right.
Because often, we're just running ragged because we're pursuing what our heart wants to pursue.
True.
And we got to like unwind some of our heart's desires to pursue other things.
True. And let me this caveat here. I'm not saying that you need to drop all your outlets.
No,
because
by all means, no.
No, because men need that outlet, and that for the health of you and your family, you need that outlet. So I'm not saying that because I couldn't have made it without the things that, like you say, these breaks where you get to be a man and do the things you want to do.
Yeah.
But it's just keeping, it in control.
Right. So, okay, that's good for the 30-year-old. What's the 40-year-old?
Ooh, man, my 40s they were like
faster.
A blur. Yeah, they were blur. See, it's different. I'd had my kids at 21, 22, 3, 4, right in there, and it's different. 40s, you're looking at kids that are getting into graduating, but other people have smaller families in their 40s. So I guess it's more, that different eras. Maybe.
Were you guys ever not in the church? Did y'all ever take a break?
No.
Did you ever not like have you, dad, your wife, mom, and the kids in service and Sunday school?
Ever not have us? No. I was in church every single Sunday from the time I was born.
Right.
Okay. Mom had my rear end and sitting in the pew every single week, and that was ingrained.
Did you ever break away?
No.
Never broke away. That's cool.
It was always that's what you did on Sunday. But let me say this. That can also be dangerous.
Uh-huh.
And was for me.
It was.
Because you can go to church every Sunday and check that box and think that you're all good. And you're not.
Yeah.
And that's another.
Was that kind of a part of your testimony?
Yeah. I mean, I always had growth. I had great. My parents divorced when I was 12.
Yeah. And
so I was involved in church and got a lot of, additional male leadership through that time and through church. And it was.
Did you notice that when you were younger?
Yeah. I wanted it.
Because your pops wasn't around-ish. He was out doing the music, right?
Right, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
there you go. That's good.
Hey,
That's good. Yeah, and great dad. But it was just
his job
product of the situation,
right.
and I needed, that's a place where I could get some spiritual leadership was as a young person in the church, and that brought me there on a regular basis, and then continued to go, and then kind of got a little bit into a trap of doing church.
Yeah.
And doing all the things that you do at church. And just like I talked about my other buckets running over, that bucket ran over and became not good. But it was in a context of something good.
I know. That's so confusing.
It is very confusing.
But it's not a surprise that one of the things we do is try to live moral and upstanding lives.
Right.
And that's put in us by God to do, but we just sometimes miss him in the process.
Because we're doing
the moral upstanding.
Right.
And we don't need a savior because I'm doing pretty good moral living.
Right.
Which is basically every world faith.
True.
Every religion.
Yeah, you're right.
Except for Christianity.
You're right. You're right.
That's the freedom. That's the biggest freedom difference of following Jesus.
Right. No doubt. So, but yeah, you just got to be careful. And so through my church life, I was there Sunday, but it became maybe just a process.
Yeah.
And was convicted of that, and just needed to do something else. God was calling me somewhere else to do something else. So, that's kind of what happened there.
That's cool, man. And so there are so many ways to live as a man. I'm 47, and Brian is 50 and change.
Yeah, 50, going on 51.
There's so many ways to live that seem right. I mean, I'm like speaking scripture right now, right?
Yeah.
What's the scripture?
I forgot.
But
I
in the
didn't
end,
memorize the whole Bible. I forgot. I didn't take that class.
There's a way that seems right to the man,
Yes.
and in the end, it can lead to death.
Yes. Or folly. Yes. Yes.
Folly,
For
thank
sure.
you.
No
Better
doubt about
word.
it. Nah, that was in one version, both, but yes.
And one of the things I've seen you do well, when did you transition from just to being a disciple to being like an apostle? Disciple would mean that you're kind of, and metaphorically speaking, you're in your own house, you're in your own relationships, you're in your own work, you're in your own money issues, you're in your own issues with, sex and the opposite sex, whatever, and you're trying to order it so that it looks like Jesus, and you're trying to let go of the things that don't look like the Lord, and you're trying to invite the things that do look like the Lord, and the Word of God is like coaching and counseling. The Bible says counseling us to all truth, to living and thinking differently. All these things takes a decade, longer, 2 decades, 3 decades. And then all of a sudden you flip and you're full, and reasonably speaking, your house, there's a garden. There's an organized garden like that you've been laboring in, metaphorically speaking. It could be just your life expression. It could be your work. Could be the way in which you handle money, or you handle your food, or you handle your yard. And then you start to go and see people that might need the same thing. When did that happen at a certain time for you, where you went from like just being discipled by the Lord to now I'm going to go out and seek and save the lost myself and invite people in and show them the light of Christ, and see where you started seeing people and going for them?
Yeah, I mean, that process was, and you said the word, it was a discipleship process. Begin to see, hey, what just going through motions of church is not what we're called to do.
That's right.
It's deeper. It's more than that. There's disciples that make disciples. And honestly, didn't see myself doing that.
You didn't.
I didn't see it, no.
When you were still finishing that lifestyle of religioning,
right,
or something
yeah,
like that.
Yeah, no, yeah,
you
totally.
put words in your mouth.
Totally, no.
You didn't see yourself as a disciple maker.
No, I was a believer.
You're a believer.
But I was not, I guess I was scared to take the step to disciple maker, maybe. I guess it could have been something of, because it's a heavy calling that everybody wants to receive.
Yeah.
But the giving part is, from that standpoint, is can get difficult, because you're going to be pouring into people and they're going to have questions, and I don't have all, the devil's telling you don't have all the answers, so you can't do this. And so, it became a conviction, a heavy conviction, that I could not say no. It wasn't it wasn't a borderline, hey, I think you need to leave this and go do this. That sounds like a cool idea. It was hey, I'm putting these people in your life right now.
Right.
And you have to do this.
Wow.
And so.
And you were dealing with the fact that you had zero appetite, and you probably felt ill-equipped.
No doubt felt ill-equipped.
You were like, no, that's not me.
Yeah.
Or something.
Oh, for sure. There's no question about that.
I don't know that guy.
No, I was like, oh, it sounds cool, man. But what was funny, like we talked earlier about people.
Yeah.
About bringing people. That's what, it was an organic process of people coming together that said, hey,
Oh, okay, for the church.
Right. That we're going to go and do this. And
Right.
I'm going to give you an avenue to do this.
And so where you were in the body of believers that you were in, God was calling you to like begin to apostle, be a sent member of the Lord's, and go out and like invite people to Christ.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, it was, it wasn't me. It was an effort of others who were gifted and called in the same way, and the Lord pressed us together.
That's so cool, man.
It-
That's so neat, because I know enough about your story, and at the same time, the environment you were in was a body, and it was on its own mission, but you were being called
Mm-hmm.
to just step outside into a new way of, with a group of people, to do the mission that he was uniquely inspiring you to do with this new group of people.
Right.
And it was like the first, and so that was kind of like your transition from discipleship to apostleship.
Yeah. I mean, I would like to say discipleship to disciple maker.
Yeah. Okay, that's better, yeah.
But yes. Yeah. It wasn't like a conscious day, or like, okay, I'm
never is.
going to do this. You know,
Never
it
is,
was
man.
a process.
It's a process.
And for some people,
Just like discipleship is a really long process.
no question. And that's a church word. And all that really means,
Yes.
guys, is growth in what the Lord is, and who he is, and how he's called you. And that's what that was. It was just that process I kept releasing myself and letting the process take place, which was the biggest thing.
Which is basically how faith
right.
is defined.
Yeah. I'm not going to do it.
This doesn't make sense to me intellectually, but I have identified you here.
Right.
You're involved in this calling. You keep impressing it upon my heart, and I need to let you, God, have authority on my next step.
No question. And it gets back to what we said about I said something about ego a while ago, but it's just laying self down.
Yeah.
Lay Brian, like get Brian out of the way and just do what I'm telling you to do. And it's, Lord pieces
crazy,
together.
Man. It's so cool.
Yep.
To begin to let him in.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking with a buddy on a podcast, and he has a history of addiction,
Mm-hmm.
and before he parted ways with all those substances, he and this friend he was with, a female friend, just wanted to start listening to worship music.
Mm. Yeah.
And they just started.
Just out of the blue.
They just were like, we got to have something better. We want something better. We know there is something better.
Uh-huh.
I know that I know these things intellectually,
Right.
but I don't experience the emotions of any of this, or like
Okay.
the care that this relationship can give me.
Mm-hmm.
But all I know to do is turn this stuff on.
Yeah.
And they turned it on for like 10 months.
Yeah.
Before he parted ways with other lovable substances.
Yeah.
Into the arms of the most lovable thing ever, which is the Lord.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, look, songs treat sermons, and that's what he was doing. He was turning sermons on.
That's it, man.
Let them listening to
That's totally it, man.
Yep.
And that's kind of how you were like you were walking out into these uncertain waters.
Yeah.
And starting and like endeavoring to go where no man has gone before. No Brian has gone
No,
before.
Brian had. Other men have gone,
Other men.
but and other men probably could have helped me with some mistakes. But
Who
yes.
was the first teacher there?
It was a group. So we had a group.
Okay.
It was never me.
That's cool, yeah.
People, it was a group of guys that were all in leadership and had been deacons, elders in a church.
Got it.
In the church.
Got it.
And we were all just by vocation. None of us were full time, and it kind of helped us all see. One of my things was not being. I think we're all supposed to be in the world, man. We're supposed to be in the world doing what we're supposed to be doing and interacting with people. And with that, what I was talking previously becomes isolationism. And it comes like, I'm going to be in this and I'm going to isolate myself. Everything that I do is going to be in relation to this. But that's not where necessarily where people are that need what they need. And so
you were tabling why you were there with those people and letting God reveal to you why you were there on his terms.
Yeah, you mean the people that were getting together about this? Yeah, yeah. So we were like, hey, but the thing is, we all had that mindset. Like it was all like, yeah, that's what we need. We need
that's right
to all be in community and be impacting community to bring people in and not be camping out in our own place.
And I honestly think that is like a really reasonable description of the invitation that God is impressing upon all of us, all of our life, is come with me as you trust me and I take you where I want you to go and be a part of what I'm doing.
Right. Yes.
And y'all were just like, let's go.
Yeah. We were, let's go. And, sometimes we paid for it. I mean, look, there were totally.
And y'all started started a church.
Yeah. The church was planted in 15 and
all this time you're still working full-time, raising full-time, CrossFitting, starting CrossFit.
Okay. Yeah. That was part of the injuries. Remember I talked about earlier, that all led to this. So God was setting me up, breaking me down to be able to hear and do what he wanted me to do. And so, that's what we did. And so it was all part of a plan, but yeah, we stepped out and we did it, and it was hard, man. It was hard. It was not. A lot of people think, well, God's called you into something, it's gonna be laid out, and you just walk through it. And don't hear me say that. No, there was pain. No, there was there was pain. There was difficulty.
That's right.
There was heartache,
which is exactly how how the New Testament church are described.
Right.
It's also how all the church has been since the get-go. That's also how relationship with God has been.
Right.
There is uncertainty, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's normal. We can't be. God is not. God is God. We're people. We can gather a lot more information about each other, but the distance between us and him is vast.
Yes.
And that's part of the fun of this crazy journey with him.
Mm-hmm.
Because he can go anywhere and take us anywhere and has plans to invite us on his terms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we just have to listen.
We just got to listen.
And
you'll never be able to imagine what's next.
Right. Sometimes we can't hear, but sometimes God puts us where we need to be so we can hear.
Yeah.
And what he's trying to tell us and where he's trying to put us. So
you do a great job of ministering to people outside of the church.
Yeah, I love community. I'm called. That's why I'm at everywhere I am. That's why I'm at the gym I'm at is in everywhere that I go is, I want to be around people, man. I love talking to people and counseling people and just, congratulating people, happy for people when there wins and being there when there's troubles and that's just who that I am with what I love to do. I love to be around people and help them. So yeah,
it comes across.
Yeah, I will. Thank you.
It's just you do that.
No, I do. I do enjoy that, and that's been kind of always there, but never tapped into as much.
Man, that's cool.
It's a growth. That's a growth too.
Wow.
I just from being able to counsel and learning how to counsel and how to talk to people that are when they're struggling with something, and that's been a process too, and an education process, and also a process of sitting down with people and working out things. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true, man. What do you think are some of this is off topic, but what do you think are some of the secrets for marriage?
Marriage.
Yeah. Other than having an amazing and perfect wife like your wife.
Yeah,
If
perfect.
She's like,
Perfection. A wife that's perfect.
she's always bridging the gap.
Yeah, you got to have that perfect wife. Yeah, that's the way to do it. But if you happen to not have the perfect wife,
Okay,
which
I'm listening.
would be
I mean,
everybody
no,
else,
no, that's not me.
everybody else but me.
That's not me.
Um, it's and you could, this relates, this crosses over. It's relationships.
Okay.
It's selflessness. I mean, it's putting others before self, which is, I mean, man, that's what, there's a famous guy in this book right here. I mean, that's what Jesus did.
Change the world.
I mean, he
How
taught,
do you do
he
that
taught us
when
how
you-
to do marriage. He taught us to who do friendship. He said, make self less, others more. You
Yeah.
know? It's
Maybe the suggestion would be like, try it out.
yeah, try it out, try it out. But you're like, man, Brian,
what I'm saying?
yeah, that sounded really easy. Just make yourself less. But
No, but like try it out.
yeah, try it out.
You know what I mean? Because like often, this, often the ego is like, no, you just need to double down on your efforts to do you better.
Yeah,
Clean up how you do you,
Yeah,
and then your life
yeah.
will be better. Actually, table that and just try to serve others
yeah.
and see what happens in your universe.
The devil said, but the devil will say, hey, but Ryan, you were good here, here, and here. It's time for you to get some good. Didn't you sit back and get some good? But not, it's not.
You've
like,
paid it in.
right. But what's our model? Our model is Christ, and he took blow after blow after blow, and you know, he didn't return. You know,
Yeah.
and it's like, you know, we have to be men, but we also have to be selfless in relationship to be able to, I think, have solid relationship with anybody. Like to be able to counsel with somebody, you can't, you know, arrogance and self is the enemy. To be able to really break down walls and have solid conversation with somebody,
Yeah.
you know, to be able to make an impact,
Yeah.
which is what it's all about.
What's your favorite Bible story?
It's
Jesus.
Jesus on the cross and rose on the third day is my favorite Bible study. No, it's the woman at the well. Isn't
The woman at the
no
well.
question. Man, she was there.
The Samaritan woman at the well?
Yeah, and
Okay.
she had been in sin and sin and sin and
Okay.
sin, and she was dirty.
Yeah.
And Jesus went out of his way to go that way through on his route because he knew he was going to encounter her. And he didn't tell her all the things that she was bad about.
Mm-mm.
He told her that she was forgiven and then told her to sin no more.
Yeah.
He wasn't even as who he was not even supposed to talk to this woman
Right.
because of religious reasons. But he went and talked to this woman that was in just severe pain
Mm.
and
Yeah. And lonely.
lonely.
And women wouldn't even hang out with her.
No, nobody would hang.
Yeah.
And he went out of his way to tell her, hey, I love you. And not only do I love you, but I don't want you to be like this anymore. I want you to stop this way of the life, which is a lot of people take the Jesus love part, but it's an example of, hey, I love you. I want you to be with me, but I also want you to stop doing what you're doing.
Right.
Right. And that's just one of my favorites, for sure.
Her response to him has always surprised me, because when I read that section, I never seem to gather what came across to her,
Mm-hmm.
and her response shows me that what came across to her is far vaster than I understand
Mm-hmm.
from the text as to what was communicated, which is exactly how God works with me on the daily.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't really.
Well, she was shocked that he was even saying
There's
a
so
word
much
to
there.
him, to her. She just like just like we should be shocked that God in human form came down here and wants to talk to us. Or the Holy Spirit wants to live in us.
It confounds the senses.
It should.
Even believers, even like Brian and myself and John, we deal with uncertainty about God every day.
Mhm.
And it's okay. That's actually very normal. Like we were talking about earlier, it's very normal for there to be uncertainty, and there will be uncertainty until we are in His presence.
No doubt.
And but the fun thing is, like, if I told, the fun thing is that, like, as we, ask forgiveness, right? It would be God prompting us, hey, you need to go ask forgiveness of your spouse or your friend or whatever. For somewhere in us, after we do those things of obedience, He ministers and speaks to us as a result of us doing them and after we do them. And no one can understand that, and no one can even explain that to you until you start to personally experience that.
Right.
Is that a fair description?
No doubt. I mean, it's what separates Christianity from other religions.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the fact that God in human flesh came down on earth and lived as a man and died and rose from the dead. And Buddhism and Hinduism and Judaism, Islam, they can't do it. They can't even hold a candle to that.
Dude, listen, I was watching this really cool. Are you good on my mic, Johnny? Speaking to your mic, Brian.
Yes.
Pull yours closer to you. Okay, there we go.
Yep.
I was watching this Jewish thing. This is like completely out of left field. We got about 10 minutes left. But it's these Jewish dudes by Jewish training. I'll put a link in the feed below. And they're talking in Jerusalem to other Jews, right? The guys that are doing the talking are Messianic Jews.
Okay.
So they have converted to Christianity, basically. They're Jews that now believe that Jesus is the Savior. And this crazy thing, I'm watching it, and in this one moment, and I saw this happen a couple times, anytime the Messianic Jew says, "Can I pray for you?" they're taken aback.
Mm-hmm.
What is that, Brian?
Well, I mean, it's the law. I mean, their prayer, Judaism prayer is part of their ritual law that they have to go through.
Why does it hit them so hard?
It's not as
something?
personal.
I don't understand. I was really confused by the weight with which they were receiving. They were ready. They were like, "He's going to pray for me." They felt like gripped by it, and I don't understand anything about Judaism. Do you know anything about that?
It could have been those men. It could have been. I've never had a guy that cared enough about me to want to pray for me,
which is weird. In Christianity, at every church, everybody prays for everybody.
True. Yes. Yeah.
And so that's just not the case from the leaders?
Probably not in that situation.
Man.
Probably too much separation, right, from God is having to earn this.
Oh, wow. And people, too.
Right.
Right? The leaders wouldn't get
people,
near
right.
enough.
Mm-hmm.
That grieves me, man.
Oh, yeah,
that's so sad. And that's why Jesus was like busting their fannies.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
In the New Testament, you guys are whitewashed tombs.
Mm-hmm. No doubt.
The love of God isn't in you. You're just like embodiments of death. Okay. I really want to hear from you of was Wodapalooza fun?
Oh man,
tell me about it.
I hadn't.
Get me there,
man.
I want to close my eyes.
I've never been to Miami before.
Oh yeah.
It was let me say entertaining. But no, it was entertaining and a blast. I mean, you've got
music was banging,
music all over the place. You've got, we were walking from our hotel, which is right on the other side of Sunset Strip. Like you walk past that road and you're like, this is Miami Vice? Like where's Crockett and Tubbs?
Oh man.
Yeah, but I dated that. They're not. They don't know. They're not going to.
Everybody knows.
Like Crockett and Tubbs. So they were right there, and I crossed that and went through Muscle Beach. Right by Muscle Beach to go to the venue to do the event, and man, it was.
How many workouts did you do?
So we did 7. I think it was 7.
Wow.
So over the course of like 3 days. So I think that's what it was.
Wow.
Yeah. So we do a morning and an afternoon, and it may have just been 6. But
when did you realize I'm here,
I could win?
Yeah.
Not when I went.
When did you realize oh snap?
Well, it was So the workouts are
Because I'd have been watching you like,
no, the workouts are released ahead of time.
Colin was going
So
crazy.
yeah, so you know what they are, and you kind of like I've got strengths and weaknesses. So I know day one was going to be a good day for me. It lined up pretty good, and I knew day two was not going to be a good day. So if I could mitigate the damage from day two and rebound day three, I had a chance to get in the top 5, and I was able to do that on day 2. And day 3, I was able to have a.
How did you mitigate
day.
damage on day 2?
Uh,
How'd you game it?
Day 2 was a lot of knowing who was around me on the leaderboard and tracking them. Like,
so you were just dialed in on rep counts of the
Yes.
other competitors.
right. So in intro workout, I know who I have to be next to, who I have to beat to be ahead of them on the leaderboard.
And coach was probably like,
Coach-
here's your numbers. Here's your
Oh,
numbers.
man. Coach Colin, he was just, yes. It was like, okay, here's where we are. The dude's,
Dude is
he's
on
the man.
point.
He's the man. He was like, you got to do this. We got to do this on day 3.
This is how it's going
I
to
was like,
feel. This is
okay.
the rep count.
I was okay. And so the last event ended up like,
Did you win it?
Yep. The last event?
No, did you win the whole thing or did you get
Yeah,
third?
I won the whole thing.
You won. You got first at Wodapalooza.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought you got third.
I got third at the one I did before Wodapalooza. But this was
Fittest of the coast, right?
no, it was Legends in Arizona. And so
Dang, bro.
and
And so you got first at Wodapalooza.
Yes, I did that one.
What'd
But,
you win?
man, money.
How much did they give? How much
I
they give
can't-
you?
It was,
$10 million?
yeah.
$10 million.
10 million.
Man, that would be a CrossFit.
Yeah, I didn't even know that they
built like
they
a
gave
chicken. I
old
can't
men
do
money for winning stuff. And I'm like, man, what's up?
Here's a sponsorship
they're like,
to you
yeah.
on Publix.
They were giving it to me. I was like, are you sure? Are you sure you're supposed to be giving me this money? I didn't.
Oh, it's so
but
good.
nah, it was funny. It was good. It just basically it covered the trip.
Did you go dark last day? Like, I can just do anything?
Yeah, that's another thing. I'm gonna leave everything. There's gonna be nothing left in the tank when I'm going, and so that's what I did. And I had to.
But everybody was doing that.
They were,
How did you?
but some people, man, some people.
What happened? Did people bonk?
Some people react different on the floor.
Their mind just gets off.
Some people don't have that competitive side by side.
Ah,
So,
really?
Yeah. No, really.
Even there.
Yeah. So
You would think all
yeah.
those ballers would be like, "This is the only way I live.
more likely
Have me
than
next
not.
to the best."
Yeah, true. More than likely than not, yes.
But people were falling away, man.
Some people were letting the inner slow down.
You know
make
what?
them slow down.
And I mean, you're amazing at that thing, and but the team is also the team in the gym,
Oh,
the
listen.
coaching,
Yes,
the person standing next to you who's going to be back in Anderson next week.
yes,
You know, that is a powerful motivator.
That's why-
for me it would have been.
no doubt. That's why you said, like, when you were saying all this stuff I was doing. Look, I'm not kidding. There's no way I could do this without the people around me in the gym.
Yeah.
I mean, I got kids. I got these young kids going crazy. I've got like
Was everybody
I've
just
got
going wild?
Allison Stahl.
I wish I had a photo of that.
I mean,
man.
I've got all these people that were working out together, and it's like, it's an
everybody
environment.
was screaming at you.
It's culture. It's like, look, culture matters
Culture matters
in everything in business. Culture matters. In your gym, culture matters. In your church, culture matters. Who am I surrounding myself with?
Yeah.
Do I want to be like a lot of people in gyms want to be the best one in their gym? I don't.
Mm-mm.
I want somebody whipping.
Yeah,
me.
you need somebody to get. Yeah,
I
you
want to be
do.
better. How am I
Yeah,
going to be
and we
better?
got them there.
We got it.
Golly.
And so that's the attitude that you got to have. You
That's
got to
cool.
surround yourself with.
It was a group win.
No question about that. It's not even a doubt.
It was a group win, man.
No
and
doubt.
and the cool thing is this is silly stuff, but that's how it should be at church too. And a lot of churches it is. And for the people out there that aren't a part of a body, it's there waiting on them. Just around the corner there's a church that's healthy and
Right.
that can raise them up, and they can get safe in the church and hear from their peers
Yeah.
and develop in their relationship to God.
Culture matters in church, and where that culture comes from is design of how church is supposed to be through the word. And you have to, am I in that kind of body?
Yeah.
Is that culture the one I'm in?
Right.
If it's not,
Yeah.
you need to look at that.
That's right. That's right. Any parting words or
Man,
encouragements?
I will say this, man, I'm proud of you. You're stepping out. Like, look, we used to say, hey, we're gonna start a podcast. Let's do a podcast. And we were all talking junk.
I thought I'll never do this.
Redmond wasn't talking junk. He's doing it.
I thought I'd never.
I'm proud of you, brother. You're doing it, man, and you're doing awesome. And I appreciate you. I appreciate your words, your encouragement, your words in Bible study. You're doing a good work for the Lord.
So every guy that I run into that like encourages us, encourages the brand, encourages our style, encourages, anything to support our team, we need you. You know what I mean? That's what we're talking about. Y'all are our church. I mean, this is a little digital church, with the goal of sharing the gospel and the good news of Jesus. And so anything we can do to serve you, we got an open door policy, man. You guys can just reach out. If you need to point us in any direction, if there's a brother that needs us to reach out to them, like, don't hesitate to let this be more closely knit than the digital environment normally is. So let this be somewhere that you might call a home. Point and push us to anyone. Like and subscribe, all that good stuff. Comment below. Brian is also a counselor. Where can people find you, B?
I do counsel. I'm not in ministry full time or anything like that, but I do help out. So if people need anything and need to talk, I'll be glad to talk to them.
Do you want to share just reach out to me?
Yeah, reach out today,
and we can make the connections.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us today on the Common Man Podcast. We got some just a wonderful time today. Thank you so much.
Thanks, bud.
There's a whole lot more for us to discover, and so remember that beauty is everywhere. It really is. God is inviting us to beauty almost everywhere, and it's up to us to seek it and enjoy it. You guys have a great day.